you doing, everybody? My name is Kevin Collins. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Carlton. We're gonna dive into, things of mental health. So yeah, Carlton, I mean, just me and you, man.
Man, let's do it. Have
Yeah,
some fun with it, man.
yeah. What are some of the, things that you deal with when it comes to mental health?
I think mental health just daily, just reminding yourself that I always like going to the beach at nighttime or even time during the day because it reminds me like you can get calm, it can get crazy, but it always finds its way getting back calm. So I felt like for so long growing up, I was always taught, don't be sad, don't feel this way. But now I'm embracing it. Like, okay, it's okay to be sad or okay to feel these ways, but I don't have to stay there. So I think that's been the biggest thing for me. What about you?
Mental health to me is literally, I tell you this, being in a mental health profession, what I've dealt with is that I've had people come to my booth when I'm out there doing events.
Right.
And I ask them, I say, man, how's your mental health doing today? And they go, I ain't got no mental health. You be like, well, bro, that means you ain't got no brain.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people don't realize that mental health literally means that you got a brain.
Right.
They'll say that mental health means I'm crazy. Well, if mental health means you crazy, then that means physical health means you sick.
Right.
So I think a lot of times what we need to do is learn how to change the perspective on mental health and really start looking at ourselves and saying, you know what, I got a brain and I need to start doing things to exercise this thing and get myself to where I feel a little bit healthier. But it's difficult, man, because, we black men.
Facts.
And society has always taught us that, we come from a slave mentality. We come from a slave background. But in all actuality, man, they don't tell us about, who we are as black people, where we originally, come from. A lot of them tell us that we come from slave ships. But in all actuality, some of us already here.
Right.
Like the Olmecs.
So how'd you get into the mental health space? Like, how did you get involved in all this?
You really want to know, huh? Okay, let's go there. So mine is that I come from a background growing up in South Central LA.
Yep.
So the gangs was an issue where I was dealing with gangs all the time. I'm an 80s kid, 70s, 80s. So I had to run from the gangs. I was a track star, I never ran track, and I went to the military. And when I went to the military, it was going through war, going through the situation that we had to go through in the military. Then coming out, I finally saw a therapist, and I asked the therapist was talking to me. Took about 5 or 6 different therapists to go through. But when I finally got a chance to see a good therapist, he told me, you had PTSD before you even went into the military, to the Marine Corps. Yeah. So it took me on a journey where I started going out trying to help other people. And that's when I began to start seeing that, man, something's going on up here. And I started meeting brothers and meeting other cats, and we started talking about it. And it really opened up my mind to saying, you know what, mental health is something that's serious.
It's important.
Yeah.
It's important, man.
Yeah. How about you?
I mean, for me, going through grief, losing a lot, it kind of really made me realize, like, I got to slow down, understand what's important. Like, yeah, money is here, women, all this stuff is here, but you ain't never seen a U-Haul truck behind a hearse. So I ended up losing my mom in 2016, lost my mom, my grandma, and my best friend back-to-back years. Yeah. And then we all went through the pandemic in 2019? And it put us all on a level playing field. No matter if you have money, whatever, the world stopped. And then from there, I was like, you know what? I got to prioritize me, because I was trying to just distract myself from everything. And then from there, that kind of just really focused on my personal healing.
Yeah. Well, I'm shaking right now, man, because it's cold in this camp.
I know,
right
a little
here,
nippy, man. They got a little cold in here. Chicago,
I'll tell you one
LA.
thing, we ain't gonna catch no cold in this place, huh? You sneeze, it's gonna be gone.
Yeah.
No, but it's. I think something about mental health with us is that black men, we need to start talking about it.
Yo.
Because I talked to one of my friends this morning on my way here, and we got into the conversation about us as black men. We have left our women behind. They've been in the forefront fighting for us all this time, and we sitting there arguing with each other, killing each other. So it's now time for us to stand up, to be men and say, you know what, our black women have been doing this so long, we need to now stand up and say, hey, baby, I got this.
Yeah.
I see you on the forefront, I see you out here fighting. Sit back here and let me get this now.
Heard that.
Yeah, and I really believe that a change needs to happen. We need to, like I said, I grew up hating black people.
Damn.
Because black people were the ones who was putting everything on me. Now when I look in the mirror and I'm like, hey, you black too.
Right.
So I'm hating myself.
Mm-hmm.
And when I met you, I met brothers like you, it began to open my eyes up and say, hey, we're positive.
Yo.
But we gotta be positive towards each other.
Yeah, that's the thing. But you can't be positive with each other if you're not positive with yourself and applying stuff with yourself. And I think that was the biggest thing I learned, because like I'm trying to do all this stuff for other people, but I'm not even giving it to me. And I never understood when you get on them damn airplanes and they be like, put your mask on first before helping others. And I'm like, I mean, if I got a kid or my girl's here, wouldn't I put on her mask on first? So I really asked the flight attendant after the flight, like, why do y'all say that? She was like, I mean, how you gonna help somebody else if you can't help you? And then that really resonated with me, like, damn, like, that's real. So I gotta like start with myself. And then from there, it's allowed me to be a better friend, a better boyfriend, a better business person, and all these different things. But understand it started with me. So that's been my biggest wake-up call.
It's funny, too, that you say that, because I heard T.D. Jakes. He talked about your cup being full, being half full. Then when you go to help somebody else, your cup gets empty.
Yeah.
Then after a while, what happens is that your cup is empty, and you out there putting dust out there trying to help people out.
Everybody else, yeah.
You all, you puffing along like a DeSoto. I don't know, you know what DeSoto. I'm kind of speaking my age right now.
Now you good.
Yeah, but I'm walking around like an old DeSoto, man, trying to help people out, and I'm not filling my tank up. I'm not putting, filling my tank back up. And like you said, I gotta start helping myself out. I gotta start putting something into me that'll help me to be able to help somebody else.
Yeah, but then I'll be like, damn, that's selfish. Somebody need help, and I know I'm at my wit's end. Then you end up burning out, and tired. Then I finally learned the importance of boundaries, and it's okay to say no, because I was people pleasing. I mean, I ain't super astrology, but Libra, sometimes we got that people pleasing thing, and for me, it was just like always trying to say yeah to everybody and saying no to me, and it was hard, and it's still hard, but I'm finally learning, the boundaries to be able to just say no and decide, and not overcompensate.
Funny that you say no. That's one word you can teach a baby, and they can say it all day long.
Right.
Now. But with us, we get older, we forget that word.
Yeah.
We trying to please it, like you said, please everybody, but we ain't pleasing ourselves. And then we forget about, man, what am I doing for me? How am I going to make my life? How am I going to achieve these goals when I'm busy trying to please everybody else?
Right.
That was tough for me growing up. I ain't gonna say my father was a bad dude, because I used to come home as a little boy, cut the lights on, lights was on. I had a roof over my head, never had to ask for nothing. But as you begin to get older and stuff, you want to please that dude.
Yeah.
Because he's like, man, son, I want you to be this, I want you to be this. But you look around in life and you're like, man, do I want to be what you wanted me to be? Or do I want to be what I want to be?
Right.
And like you say, that becomes a problem sometimes, because we get in life, we too busy trying to be something in front of somebody else's eyesight. Trying to be this whatever it is, that we're pleasing them, but we're falling short of our own selves.
For sure. And that ends up happening. How do you set boundaries like now, or what do you do?
See, here you go with these tough questions. You see how you doing me? Literally what I have to do is look if I can do it. I take the time out and say, is this going to help Kevin now? I can't help you all the time. But it took I'm 52, 54. See, old age gets bad, John, when you get this age, when you can't remember your own age sometimes. I got to try to remember my grandkids' age, not remember mine. Yeah. But it took me some time to get where I had to say, I gotta say no. If it's gonna take away from me, and in order to please you, then I gotta say no.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, but that's a part of life.
That's all it is. One day at a time.
Yeah. But mental health, when you really think about it, that's a deep subject, because it's been a taboo to us for so long. When I remember as a kid growing up, we talked about you see somebody with mental health, you be like, oh, that's the crazy dude. That dude crazy. He got mental health issues. He crazy. not knowing that we need to be taking care of this thing. Looking at our parents, looking at our fathers, like they talked about earlier. You know, we look at our men, and the thing of being a man is you got to be tough. You know, that John Wayne type dude, and, you know, but not knowing that dude can cry. He needed to cry. And I mean, think about this. What were some of the things that you were taught as a young man that was what is supposed to be this icon of a man, or what it is to be a man?
Right. Nah, that's real when you really think about it, because you got just all these images or a certain way you're supposed to be. But I think we just really have to give ourselves more grace and allow each other to be, to your point. And if you're dealing with stuff, it's okay. Because, I mean, a lot of times, even talking to like homies, we all be suffering in silence, you know? And then end up dealing with something and scared to be Clark Kent. Feel like you always got to have this raw Superman attitude on. And then it's just funny because I was at the barbershop, and then we all just talking, everybody talking. And then one of the dudes in the chair was just talking about what he was going through. And for him to be able to open up in the barbershop, it opened up somebody else to talk about. They was dealing with the same thing, and he didn't know if he didn't express. But if he didn't express, the other person would have been suffering in silence. So just the importance of them conversations is so real and needed to make you feel like you're not alone.
You know, that's our mental health area, the barbershop.
Yeah.
You know, that's where black men can go and we can sit down and talk about whatever. It's unfortunate now some of the barbershops starting to have beauty shops in it where now you got the women over here, you can't talk about certain things, but what's so good about it is that when you go into the barbershop, you can go in and just talk. You know, man, I'm going through this. But at the same time, you may get Superman, like you said, come walk through the door. Man, suck it up, man. What you mean suck it up? You know, I'm dealing with something. And I notice with women, when they, say for instance, they break up with their boyfriend, women come in, they be like, girl, he wasn't no good for you anyway. You know, they support him. Us, we be like, man, the best way to get over a woman is to put another one up under you.
That's it.
Come on, dog, for real?
Yeah.
I love this woman. Yeah. You know, and she was everything to me. Now she gone. Somebody hold me, man.
Right.
You know, like, dog, we ain't finna hold on you, man.
Keep it going,
Yeah, come on, dog. Let's go in the car and hit some switches. No, man, I need somebody to talk to.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, and we just don't do that as men. You know, and that's something that we need to start doing. You know, like we talked about, like I said earlier, being vulnerable. You know, allowing those emotions to come out.
It's all right. It's all right.
No, I'm an ugly crier, dude, so I don't like crying in front of people, man. I got snot coming all out my nose, looking like Spider-Man by the mouth. But
it's all right. Let it out. Let it out.
Again, we need to learn how to do that. Because as men, we struggle. And then I just won't say black men, but men, period.
In general.
Because when you walk around this society and you see the stuff that's going on, we trying to overcome something. But hell, we don't know how to overcome it.
We don't. That's why I'm laughing, because sometimes we don't. And we just end up sitting here, suffering.
And by ourselves.
In silence. And I'll sit there sometimes and just be like, man, sitting, isolating.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Nah, I was just saying that's what I end up sitting doing, just isolating, but realizing sometimes you got to get out of that and talk through it. You know?
Man, back in the days, what I used to do, you used to see me, I had my one, I tell them some of my classes I give. I had a Suburban back then. You see me, I had the windows tinted, had a one leg like this, rolling on me a blunt, smoking that blunt.
Getting it in.
Yeah, drinking that Southern Comfort. Going to that substance to try and let that substance get me out of it. But and then when you talk to your boys, man, you know, I'm having this problem. What, dog? And you're sitting there talking, but you never ever really get a chance to get it out because they're too busy trying to tell you, suck it up, suck it up. Get over it. But how can I get over something? We need to actually learn how to cope. You know, we're going through a problem. How do you cope with that problem? How do you allow yourself to get through that?
Yeah. And that's something we don't talk about often. We need to.
And me being an older cat, you being younger, this is a lot of times where we don't get a chance to do that. You know, and I'm kind of glad we got this little thing going on here where you and I can talk, because this is where, damn, I never thought I'd sit here and say I'm an older cat, man, you know. I remember back in the days, you were sitting there and you're like, I'm talking to the old heads. When I was your age, how old are you?
30.
Man. What? You want to trade places real quick?
Hey, you know, I'm going to take it one day at a time. I remember in high school, like, oh, man, I'm ready to be older. Now talking to 18-year-olds, I'm like, damn, I feel like I was just 18, and then now I'm 30. It's like
Man, 18.
crazy.
Ooh, that was a long time ago for me. Ooh. Can I remember 18 right now? No, I can't remember 18.
And it
Yeah,
just goes so fast.
it does.
Man, so learn to take it one day at a time.
You got to. You got to. But that's what we need to come as men, though. We got to start talking to each
We
other.
do.
You know, like you talking to the youngers, the 18-year-olds. Me talking to you. But at the same time, one of the things that I learned, too, is that I don't know everything. I know something, but I don't know everything. And it's great that I'm able to come and talk to you and say, hey, listen, I'm having issues here. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
You might give me some advice. I'll be like, man, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
You know? And this is where our heads need to be at, is where we understand that I don't know everything. You know? I'm like this, and I say this sometimes to people. We are perfectly created beings with imperfect behaviors. And when we realize that, we'll begin a chance to see our own imperfections and understanding, you know, I ain't got it all.
Right. And that's okay.
Yeah. 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 That's the hard part, though, is admitting it's okay. You know, and coming to that conclusion of ourselves to where we see that, you know, I'm comfortable with me. I'm comfortable being the person that I am. And if you can't accept me, life goes on.
Yeah. No, that's real, man.
Yeah. I'm going to talk. I can talk all day
Man,
long.
talkers, man, we here, we vibing. Anybody got any questions, any thoughts? Any thoughts, any questions? Anything on your mind? Good, how are you?
Hello? Can you hear me? I missed most of the conversation, so if y'all already talked about this, let me know. It's hard to get black men to communicate consistently. You know, we don't have a lot of practice for many reasons that we all know. I was in the Bay for the last 20 years, and a couple of times I tried to get, you know, some black men's groups together. And I even thought, okay, us American Africans, that's what I call us, because America's our first culture.
Yeah.
And I have, some of my boys are African Americans from Africa. I tried to get the groups together, you know, different ages, up to 80, down to 23. The African Americans, you know, they have a different understanding of communicating. And then us over here, you know, it was just hard. And so I wanted to ask y'all, you have any strategies for how we can create that consistent communication that we never got to practice growing up? You know, most of the time we got to communicate, we were on sports, and all of us ain't gonna win. All of us not getting that scholarship or whatever it was. So sometimes I try to keep perspective that it was only 50 years ago that in San Francisco, more than 3 brothers in the same place was a crime. And, you know, it was illegal for us to get together. So if y'all got any ideas or any experiences with that, I'd really appreciate it.
Well, coming from an old head, I can say old head now. Man, you know, I think what it is just us doing it. I think it's to the point of us accepting each other's faults. You know, a lot of times we need to just sit down and say, hey, bro, let's talk about this. And the biggest thing that we need to do as black men is remove our emotions out of a conversation. Because a lot of times what happens is when you get in a conversation with each other, our emotions are involved with it. You know, you may say something to me and, what? You know, and that's all our emotions. But if we start losing that logical brain, which is the biggest part of your head, you know, your brain, if we use that logic and really, and then at the same time remove emotions and listen. And my grandfather told me, boy, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. That means you're supposed to listen twice as much before you slap them 2 lips together. And that's what we need to start really doing, is listening to each other. Being empathetic. You know, not sympathetic, but empathetic. Putting myself in your shoes and seeing, man, how would I feel if I'm going through that? And then really embracing that and saying, man, dog, I feel where you coming from. You know, and then taking that into perspective and having that dialogue when we're listening to each other and really learn how to communicate with each other.
Can I ask a follow-up? Where do y'all get a chance to practice that as adults? You know, like I don't want to get into the domino tournament. It might get a little wild. You know, but where do you get a chance to practice that? Or do you get a chance?
Well, I work for the Department of Mental Health, so I get a chance to do that every day, honestly. And, you know, when I'm in my workshops, giving these workshops, we get a chance to communicate. Because most of the time, the guys are sitting there, they need some help. So when I start giving the classes, they're like, well, man, like you're saying, well, man, how do I do this? And then we open up. We have men's circles at the Peer Resource Center, and and when we have those men's, or at Children's Institute, and we have these men's circle, it's a time for us to really come together as men and talk. But you gotta want it. You know, most men, we're so proud. We're like, I'm gonna need this, dog. I got this. I'm a man. I'm Superman. I got S on my chest. And you know, if you rip that daggone shirt off, ain't no S on that chest. And even Superman had kryptonite. You know, so, and my kryptonite is women. All day long.
Hello.
Oh, you Batman.
It's a whole nother topic. We got a few.
So
Yes,
two
sir.
different generations. Where do you find that community?
Where do I find a community? Honestly, creating it, because I couldn't find it. So I've just kind of like created different things and platforms that I know I'm not the only one dealing with this. So me and a couple of my friends, we have a thing called a King's Table. So the Kings, we get together, we got cigars, we got drinks, food, vibing, and it's funny because the first one, it was like 50 of us, and we all at the table, and we all laughing. It's like, damn, there's no women in here. So we all was just like laughing, and it took us like 10 minutes to just adjust to that. But then after that, we really started talking and had like real organic conversations about what we're all dealing with as men, and really getting past that normal of just, it's okay for it to just be us. And then from there, that kind of turned into just more organic check-ins. Like, let me just call him because I'm thinking about him. You know, and for me, that's kind of what we've been doing, just starting where we are with what we have.
That's awesome, man. It's a special place that a black man can take his mask off
For
safely.
sure.
You know.
And we don't realize how much we're wearing it, you know?
Oh, it's heavy.
It is. What was your name?
Lanon.
Lanon, appreciate you, man.
LaDon?
L-A-N-O-N. Lanon.
Oh, Lanon.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to talk to you, LaDon.
For sure.
You know, to even add to that, that's great to hear because, you know, we are all trapped in our own little shells. So sometimes we get into a situation where we always think we know what's going on in somebody else's life. Or we take what's inside of our shell and we try to portray that onto you. And that would be something that happens a lot of times when we look at young black men, somebody coming from my generation. We look at the young black men and be like, oh, these dudes ain't got it going on. These dudes ain't got it together. They got problems. Because we got problems. But, like you just said, if all of us just sit down and have some cigars, I can't smoke cigars no more because, like I said, I smoke too much weed back then. But if we all sat down, but I still can sip on something, and if we do, plus the fact where I work at, I can't be doing
I get
that.
it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But if we just do like you just said, we just sit down together and have that conversation, have that dialogue, talking, conversating with each other. It opens up a whole, man, it's not even, words can't explain what it's gonna open up. But I think it would change us as a society.
Nah, so much.
Because look at us now. We're fighting and arguing amongst each other over some of the smallest little things versus coming in there and saying, you know, how you feel, bro? And I don't mean just because you're black. You can be Latino. You can be white. How you doing, bro? Because we're all men. So how you doing? And looking at each other as human beings versus the color of our skin. You know, that's one of the biggest dialogues we got to break down is our skin color. Because you look in society throughout history, we've always looked at each other, I'm going to be better than you. Well, for me to be better than you, that means that I'm looking at you as somebody to be better than. So why am I trying to put you below me? I should be walking beside you.
For sure.
Trying to learn from you.
Now that's important, man. So many gems you dropping, man. Come on. When the book coming out, Kev? Drop the book.
Look, I mean, this is old man knowledge, so, you know, most of the times you see us as old cashman, you live life so much that if you ain't, I done made it this far, if I ain't learned something this time in my age, I'm an old fool. So I ain't trying to be no old fool. I want to be somebody at least that got something in his head that I've learned from, so. But thank you for that.
Yeah,
I'm going to let you know when the book drops.
No, for real, and I think it's so dope, man, just having these type of conversations, because sometimes you don't realize you need it until you have it. I was like, damn, I didn't know I needed this.
Yeah.
But I needed this. Yeah.
Sure.
So is there a king table? Do y'all do that a lot?
Yeah, we do it once a quarter. So our next one's coming in fall.
In fall?
Yep,
And
early.
for what ages? Because I'm a single mother that have a 17-year-old, and, he needs a, positive influence around him.
Yeah, it is 21 through 40, but we are gonna work on something, try to do, for the younger cats as well.
Right. Okay, for sure. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I can't tell you both just how much I'm enjoying this dialogue because I don't see enough of this. I don't see two generations talking, two men talking heart to heart, soul to soul. And I work with a program called See a Man, Be a Man from the Family Organization. That's famli.org. If you wouldn't mind me just give a shout out. We work with youth in South Central Los Angeles. And what I see is a crisis and a continuation of our cultural transference. And what you're doing is starting to improve or heal that, where those who know need to tell those who don't know. Those who don't know need to listen to those who know. Because right now, I sense that our culture is, and forgive me if others see it differently, is running amok. When you look at the influence of rap music, when you look at the influence of what's happening in some social media platforms, when you look at some of the lack of in-depth or politicized comments or awareness of some of the idols that are on social media that we listen to. No other culture has entertainers and people, comedians, and people like that speaking for the entire race. But somewhere down the line, we lost that connection. I think it had to do a lot with the onslaught of crack that broke down that male son bond. It has to deal with imprisonment. It has to do with the school to prison track. It has to do with a lot that you both are truly aware of. So I know I'm not saying anything that you want, but I'll wrap this up quickly by asking a question. How do we counter some of the negative music? I work with groups like SEMOTEP, the Committee to Eliminate Media Offensive to African People. How do you deal with Clear the Airwaves? It's another group that deals with the media. Another one is called Industry Ears that deals with how do we get our sanity back from the young people that are spewing out words. This is the first time in the history a 17 or 18-year-old could become a multi-millionaire. Just in our history on this planet, the black men can get a grip, can come up from the mud, get houses and cars and jewelry, and be totally almost illiterate with mumble rap. How do you counter those forces that are so prominent to put us? We used to be the moral standard in America. I travel the world. I'm a geographer. I'm in Africa. I'm in Asia. I'm in Europe, South Central America. We are now, our image is so denigrated, and we're doing it to ourselves. How do we get a hold on these youngsters and let them know that they have accountability and responsibility being black men, some of the most prominent black men on the planet that everybody listens to? And we are role models around the world, but we've lost, there's a race to the bottom. When you look at the sexualization, when you look at the language, I travel otherwise, and you see black Americans, they're like, man, you guys, we can't follow you guys anymore. You guys are off the chain. You're just too far gone. So I know I'm going on too far. How do we stop that trend, which is, I think, a spiral downwards in terms of our race, our culture, and our image as black men here in our cities, in this country, and around the world?
I think we need to do what you just said, is take that message and bring it to fruition. I think we need to take that message and let these young men hear that. But I don't want to take away.
No, you good.
But I'm a Black Wall Street type man. I have a Black Wall Street mentality. And I really believe that we need to bring that mentality back into today's time, where we start talking about Black Wall Street. We start talking about, hey, black man, go buy you some property. And then that property, when you buy that property, sell some of that to the next black man. Help that black man or that black woman come up. And what I mean by come up, let us start learning these things. We need to, the biggest thing I think that really needs to happen is that, as a black man, we as black men need to stand up. It's really what needs to happen. Because our boys are being raised by women that don't know what it is to be a man. So now these young men are coming out with this mumble rap that she getting, because they don't really know how to express themselves. So they coming out because they don't really understand what it is to how to be a man. I have a nephew that's like that. You know, he's going through the problems that he's going through because all he has is his mother. And she's just trying to be the one that says, I'm going to raise him. But not looking at she's got some men around her that can help her with her son. And instead of her utilizing the men that's around her, she wants to do it by herself. And that's been a problem that we have. I'm not trying to blame it on our women, but what I am saying is that men, we need to step up. Because if we step up, what happens now is the boys get a chance to see what a man is. And that's what they're not seeing. You look at most of our black men on TV today, all we got is Denzel, really. Denzel and who else we got? I mean, I like Samuel, but Samuel get off the meat wagon sometimes. And he get to cussing and acting like, the one thing that I like Samuel Jackson, but the one thing that he did that upset me was he came to a black award. He came to that black award with some sneakers, tennis shoes, I mean, looking like the N-word. But then when he went to the white people's award ceremony, he got his tie on, and he's looking, how come you couldn't do that in the black event? You know, and that's why I say Denzel, because Denzel does that. And I see a lot of us black men, we need to start stepping up to the plate. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. I don't want to talk too much.
No.
But I just want to say this. I appreciate your emphasis on monitoring and investing and getting our part of the grip in terms of the money. But those who have don't care, and those who care don't have in many cases. I'll give you an example, stepping up for our women. I'm from Baltimore. It's Sister Marilyn Mosby. She stood up for black folks. You know, she prosecuted those police from the Freddie Gray, and they ran her through the ringer. She was facing 30 to 40 years in jail for using her own money to buy some property in Florida. Now, she just recently, she got 100 days of, she's got some days of whatever, house arrest or whatever, but she's about to lose her law license. But Trump has done so much worse, and you know, he's not, I don't want to go there right now. But the point is, why aren't these rappers, she bought a condo in Florida for her family, why aren't these rappers coming out of Miami? I don't want to start mentioning names. We all know who they are, especially my young friend here. Why aren't they buying that condo back for her? Why aren't they buying that? Why aren't we coming to our rescue, those who have the money? Where's their ignorance with why is there a disconnect between those who have the money and flashing it and everything with our people? We could have 41 Wall Streets with the billions of dollars we've made off of the rap industry. It's no reason why Detroit, Baltimore, DC, Atlanta does not have a Wall Street. Cleveland, Oakland, Compton. Why isn't there a Black Wall Street? Because the money from this industry, multi-billion-dollar industry, is not coming from ourselves. That's our reparations. We created ourselves. It's going to European, it's going to like Cristal, it's going to the jewelers, Jacob the jeweler, it's going to all kinds of frivolous stuff, and we're not building home first. How can we get that connection to those people in your age and those 18-year-olds you're talking about, that the true power and responsibility is generated wealth that we create, and not, how do we get that to the athletes, the basketball and football players? How do we get that message before they go off to camp and to invest in other communities and not ours? We should be tired of doing this now. When are we gonna outgrow the frivolous use of our excess and surplus resources and start investing in our own communities and buy back the block?
I would think that we need to highlight the ones who are doing it,
Yeah.
like Russell Westbrook. You know, that's a gentleman that we should be highlighting. You know, as bad as, I mean, he act up on the course. He may jump up in the third row and knock you upside the head, but the media is always going to talk about how bad we are. But we as a people need to start uplifting each other. And he's one of them. You know, I'm not a big LeBron James fan, because I don't like the way he plays on the basketball court. But I see what he does in his community, you know, and I see what he does with his family. I'm taking so much. Go ahead.
Now you good. I think we got to wrap soon, so you good. You close
Okay.
this. Yep.
Yeah, let me know, because you know I could talk about another hour or two. So be careful. But yeah, you know, I think what we need is highlight, and we as a black people, we need to start sticking together. You know, we need to blend together. These mumble rappers, stop buying their records. You know, that's a protest. My grandfather always told me as a kid, he said, the best way to protest is to stop. If you want to protest against somebody, stop spending your money with them. They're going to listen then. And I did that as a kid. With the store down on the corner, they treated us wrong, we stopped shopping there. And then eventually they're going to shut down, or they're going to change how they do things. And I believe if we start hitting them in the pockets as a black people and stop supporting them, they'll change. But I don't have all the answers, because my name is Kevin Collins. So, you know, unfortunately, I don't have all the answers. But I love that we have this dialogue here. So unfortunately, I mean, you know, we have this dialogue coming together now, but we need to really pursue this even further, where we can actually, as black people, and I don't want to push my sisters out, but we as black men need to come together and start talking about this. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hello. Kev and Erica going to get us to New York.
I mean,
Yep. There it is.
I mean, because if you really think about, I'm an old school dude. I was born in the 70s. So, you know, I'm a Marvin Gaye, Teddy Pendergrass type. I love their music, you know, what's going on. But then we got Chuck D, KRS-One. And then Q came along when people got pissed off about him. But Q was telling what's going on in the streets. And now you got Q battling with the NBA with his 3-on-3. So some of the times this is where I think we need to start bringing this dialogue up. I mean, just like you just said, and you as well, we need to really come to as a black community, come together to bring this dialogue up and to try and elevate ourselves. But how do we do it? I can't answer it all, because, you know, I don't know. But I love to sit down and talk with my brothers and my sisters to figure out ways that we can do this, because I'm on board. I love to do something like that.
Yep, they go hiking. That's a good one. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
So, so we want to thank you all here in the audience who's streaming us. That new word. I'm so old school. We thank you all for streaming us, and we appreciate y'all time, and we hope to see y'all again.
Hello.